So here are the lengths of timber that we laminated in the last episode, and in this episode we're going to make them into 4 legs for our daybed. So I'm just removing the sash clamps that have clamped them together under pressure while the glue set, and I left them for about 24 hours, but the glue's probably set before then. And here they are. They look pretty solid. I'm happy with those. So now we're going to use a drop saw to cut them to the correct length, and it's hooked up to the shop vac again so that we can manage the dust. And the first step is to take off one of the ends of one of the pieces so that we have a square end to measure our first leg from. Okay, and here we are measuring it out. Yeah, they're going to be fairly low legs because it is only a daybed. We want people to comfortably sit on it. And I've just marked the length I want off square there. And I've cut my first leg to size. Now, some bits of wood have imperfections, knots or other gnarly bits. And at this point we can try and eliminate them by cutting them off from the pieces that we want to use for our legs. So I'm using a method here of cutting the legs to exactly the same length, and instead of measuring them, I'm putting the leg I've already cut on top of the length of timber that I'm going to cut the next one from, pushing it up against the saw, making sure the ends are exactly equal with each other, and then removing the original leg and cutting it. And this saves a bit of time for measuring, but it also ensures that each of the legs is exactly the same length. And it means it's pretty easy and quick to cut out lots of the same pieces. Yeah, and here's our 4 legs. And they're kind of chunky at the moment. So the first step is to cut a wedge off the side of the bottom of each one, just to give them a little bit of taper, make them look a little bit more interesting and elegant than they would if they were a solid prism like they are right now. And to do this, I've clamped a block of wood onto the drop saw and set the saw at an angle of, I think, about 15 degrees. And then I can just present the leg, drop the saw onto it, and let the saw cut that wedge off. Now, it won't cut all the way through, but I think that's probably a good idea. I don't want a wedge of wood to go flying away because of the saw. And I can finish that off with a handsaw later, but you can see it allows me to cut each of the legs exactly the same. So just remove those wedges with handsaw, very easy. And here are our legs so far, but I'm still not happy with them. I'm going to cut off one more side wedge. Yeah, but this time, because the legs work in pairs, I'm going to need to cut the wedge off from opposite edges. So I'm making sure that I mark this and don't make a mistake. And the first 2 sides I can cut off the same as I did the original wedge. But to cut the other 2, I'll need to change the drop saw to its opposite angle and change the location of the block as well. Once that's done, very simple to cut off the wedge from the other side. And again, it doesn't go all the way through, but that's probably a good idea for safety. and just finish them off very easily with a handsaw. And they're a little bit rough, so I'm using a belt sander to smooth everything out. And you can see on my work tabletop there, I've just put a block of wood in the middle to work against, and that stops the legs from flying away because the friction of the belt sander is really high, of course. And repeat that process all around. And then now it's time to fill in some of the nail holes and cracks and knot holes that you get in the timber, just with some regular filler. And then here are our 4 legs ready to be made into a daybed, which we'll do in the next episode. So see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.